plan.
Never a day. It's a very nice building.
Yes,
Nice
thank
building.
you. And then the other two buildings, of course, the ministry complex and the kids' church got almost a foot. So we had drywall and all that stuff. Yeah, it is what it is. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is now 8:01, so we're going to call this meeting to order. And seeing that we do have a quorum, I'm going to begin this meeting. All right. First off is Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess officially we'll do the roll call, and I know that Mr. Bramlett is out. He is excused. Ms. Clyde?
Yes, sir.
Here.
I am here.
Absolutely. Mrs. Nelson?
Present.
Present. Mr. Jones?
Here.
All right. Mrs. Ramlow?
I'm here.
Mrs. Benefield?
Here.
Mr. Reagan?
Present.
All right. And Miss Ebitz?
It's
Ebbets? Every time.
all my life. Present.
Present. All right, thank you, everyone. We are here and ready to go. All right. Now, who am I missing? Nobody, right? Why is that seat empty?
Because I moved down.
Oh, got it.
Because I'm taking minutes.
Oh, understood. That's right. I forgot. We have a little shift in library staff, or county staff technically, I guess it would be the case. So maybe more on that later. All right, so next we'll move to the item of approval of the minutes from August the 27th of 2024. I entrust
Motion
that
to
everyone, I'm sorry?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Elaine seconded it?
No, Elaine motioned and I second.
Okay.
All right. Open to the public. We're going to open to the public. Just a quick reminder. Of course, you have 3 minutes. We're going to allow for everyone here to speak. Shouldn't be as long as the last meeting, it looks like. We'll need your information, so you have to fill out one of these green cards. You'll give that green card to Ms. Taylor. She'll take care of that for you. In addition, please remain respectful. Obviously, all address will take place. You'll be addressing myself, okay? And all of that will go smooth if we do that, okay? Anyone like to speak? Going once, going twice. Seeing there is no open to the public, we will move on with special items. Do we have any special items, Director Chang? All right. Report of officers and standing work groups. I see Mr. Bramlett's not here, so with regards to that, would you be
I can-
filling in? Yeah.
Yes, I'll give a quick update. And as my director's update, I'll give an update.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So we'll move on from that. Now we'll go into regular business, which will bring us to the director's report. So, Mr. Chang, take it from here, brother.
All right, thank you. Okay, so quick updates on staffing. We had some staffing changes over the last month. One of the ones that we had was Lydia. She is no longer our administrative assistant. She has moved on to another position in the county through a promotion with Extension Services. So we're very happy for her. But that does bring us to, we don't have our traditional secretary here on our board. So Debbie is taking minutes for us. So thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Another kind of big change that we had with staffing was our systems manager, Dave Boyer. He retired on September 30th. We have filled his position with Josh Jackson. He started with us right in between hurricanes, I believe. So he's still getting used to his position, and we're working through some of the projects that we have ongoing, but he's doing a wonderful job with us. And then we are in the process now of hiring a couple new library aides. At our last through our last budget, we did get approved 2 new part-time positions. So we are looking to fill those positions to get them on board, get them trained and ready for when we switch over to the new Saturday hours in January. So things are moving forward with staffing. And then the Lakes Region grand reopening was postponed. We were unable to get everything completed in the allotted time that we had thought over those 2 weeks. The hurricanes did significantly impact that. So we decided that we weren't able to open on that day. We couldn't do a grand reopening. We couldn't even do a regular kind of soft opening. So we had to delay that by 1 week. We did open the Lakes Region Library yesterday to the public again. We tried to get it open as quick as we could. Not necessarily to celebrate a grand reopening yet, but at least to be able to serve the public, because it is a very vital piece in the community for people. And we did see a lot of patrons return yesterday. I'm very thankful and very much interested in using the library. So we wanted to get that open as quick as we could. The biggest delays we have right now with the Lakes Region Library is some of our furniture still hasn't been delivered. And the reason for that is the furniture was scheduled to be delivered when we were closed. But because we missed that window of delivery, we're now sort of waiting with our delivery company to put us back in their schedule for delivering those materials. They've got other jobs that they're working through. So we're not at the back of the list, but other ones are kind of coming maybe before us. So we hope to have some movement on that in the next couple weeks, but the library is open. Coastal Region Library renovation planning, we're currently undergoing that now. We have a couple meetings set up with a couple staff to kind of get an idea of what we're looking for. The intention was to finish Lakes completely first, see what we need to learn from that, and then move to Coastal. So we're juggling both projects, but we will kind of forge ahead with that one. And then for the book reviews that's come up over the last couple meetings, all 26 books now have been reviewed by staff and myself. We've made decisions on all of those materials. And then the citizen that made the request, it did receive notification on all 26 materials. So just giving an update that those have all been completed. And then the book that's under appeal that this board is all taking a look at, I know not everyone has had a chance to review that material yet, so we're working through that process. So just giving you an update that a couple of you have had a chance to review that book, but I'm still working through the rest of you to get you a copy of that to review. And then in regards to kind of still looking at collection, looking at the young adult collection that had come up a little bit in our previous couple meetings, looking at changing or updating the guidelines or the age range for that area. The young adult has always been a separate section within our library. There was a lot of mention about the 12 to 18, but moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and just make that a 15 to 18 range for the young adult material. So moving forward, everything in that section will be 15 to 18 is kind of our intended target and our audience. We can go ahead and make that change without much kind of procedure or policy that has to go into that. We can just go ahead and start reclassifying those and making it 15 to 18. So that's the direction I'm heading in. And then we will continuously review all materials in our library to make sure that they are in those age-appropriate sections. But we're going to make sure that we're keeping a critical eye on that kind of going forward as well, to just with everything, just to keep updating you, making sure that even if reading level matches, that age range. We want to make sure content fits as well. So we're going to keep an eye on that at all ages. Okay. And I think that's all I have on those pieces. And then kind of looking at our year in review, I just want to give you a quick kind of update or a little bit of background on some of the things that we've done this year, some of our highlights. So one of our big things that we're very proud of is the number of volunteers that we have working with us throughout the year. So we had just under 300 volunteers this past year that came in and contributed some of their time to our library, which was about 14,000 hours. This slide up here is just a picture of our recent volunteer appreciation party, which we held in April, just thanking and celebrating our volunteers. We also had our summer reading program this year. That was, I think, a record-breaking year for us in terms of statistics on this one. We had 562 kids sign up for our summer reading program, and they logged just over 345,000 minutes this year. So we were very, very happy to see the number of kids coming out to our programs and reading, and then also the number of checkouts of youth material was just over 29,000. And then, of course, the Lakes Region renovation was a big part of our year last year. If you were to go to Lakes Region today, this is what you would see. We have our brand new circulation desk that's installed. It's in the center of the building as you come in. And then on the left there's a picture of our new quiet area, which we're still working on some pieces for that. But for the most part, you could go there, you could plug in your devices, you could sit in a nice, quiet, kind of comfy chair and complete whatever work that you need. So those are just a couple of the updates with Lakes Region. And then this one was our event in September. This is our largest event of the year. This one is a family-friendly Comic-Con style event. We had just over almost 400 people attend this year, but people came in costume. We had different vendors there. We had lots of activities. That picture on the bottom right, you can see there's a little droid there that actually moved. Our 501st Legion that volunteers their time. They came in and always do a wonderful job and go above and beyond, and that was one of their, not props, almost like a character that they brought in to have families kind of get to experience. So we're very happy with that one as well. And then in front of you, you should have a double-sided sheet. So on one side is the summer statistics, and on the other side is the library's annual statistics. I just want to highlight a couple of these that are very significant to us. The first one on the top right there is the total number of checkouts. We hit 603,000 checkouts, and this past year was the first year since 2016 that we exceeded 600,000 checkouts. Yay! So we saw an 8% increase in checkouts last year. So definitely moving in a very, very positive, strong direction. There's always that, that concern, are people still checking out books, are they still reading? And we're clearly seeing that there's a lot of interest still in material, so we're continuing to see that grow, and we're very excited and happy to see that. We issued 8,100 new cards, which was 500 more than we did last year, which was a good percentage increase there. I already mentioned the volunteers and the hours. We also had a lot of positives in our program attendance. It just has the overall program attendance here, but just to give you the percentage increases there, we had a 12% increase in adult programming, so attendance there, a 4% increase in young adult attendance, and then an 11% increase in the younger age as well. So very, very strong growth in those areas as well. People are really interested in the programs that we're offering. We're hitting what the community is looking for, and we're finding they're coming out in kind of larger waves for those. But I will say a little asterisk with these numbers. As you all know, especially those that are closest to Lakes Region, that branch was under construction for most of the year. So these numbers are a little bit lower than I would have hoped if we weren't doing renovation. That's going to be offset a little bit now. We have the new meeting room and the 2 study rooms there. But again, the asterisk next year is that Coastal is undergoing the same renovation. Yeah. So we're not going to be at full capacity for both years, but we're still doing some very positive things. All right. And then the next update I have for you, I got quite a few updates to go through here. We've got some upcoming projects. So our upcoming projects this year, the big one is the Coastal Region renovation. So we are starting on that one. That's going to also bring about the Saturday hours at Coastal beginning in January. We're going to be opening Coastal back up on Saturdays. Very much looking forward to that one and being able to serve the public on that additional day, especially for families. Other new services, Patron Point, we're working with that. That's our new mail system, so we'll be able to send texts, emails, updates for bestsellers, holds, things like that. A lot more streamlined and a little bit more customizable for us on our end. It's really a back-end feature, but it's going to give us a little more professional touch to some of the notifications that we send out. Our PC management and print system, we're working through that. That one should be coming online early January. That will be a huge upgrade for us. We're upgrading our Wi-Fi and our network switches throughout the building as well. So you'll see that change as well. That's again more of a back-end thing that that we're working through. Couple other things. We have our book club in a bag. That will be coming out shortly. So I think I may have mentioned in the previous meeting that we are going to have some pre-made kits, about 8 to 10 copies of a particular book that people can check out, and then we'll have a book club in a bag with some kind of question cards and things to facilitate starting a book club. So that will be coming. And then
Adam, is that just adults?
it will start with adults, yes. And we'll see that's the most requests we get is usually adults coming in and wanting to know if we have certain copies of books or if we have, a particular kit. So we are going to go ahead and try to make some kits up and see where the response is. Similar to we've got the compassionate care kits and the STEM kits, we're going to try book club in a bag. I think we probably should have started there rather than diving into the STEM kits and the compassionate care kits, just because books are kind of what we're very, very familiar with. And, we should have started small, but we went the other direction.
Oh, I think you did wonderful with,
We do
with
too.
the other two bag kits.
They were wonderful received, but it was more
learning.
the intake of them when people bring them back. There's 1,000 parts in some of these engineering kits, whereas if we started with a book club, it only had 8 books in it. So that kind of thing. How do we inventory and manage this? That's what I meant. Why we should have started with the
Right.
the simple 8 books versus some of the other pieces.
Yeah.
There's that.
Lesson learned there.
We're working through our own makerspace kits right now, so thanks for the heads up on that.
Yeah, inventory is definitely one of our challenges. And then in the early part of next year, we're going to start working on some strategic planning sessions as well to look ahead for the next 5 to 10 years of the library, where the library needs to go, what kind of services we should offer, what the population growth is going to impact our library. So we're going to be holding some sessions throughout the year next year, starting in probably February, March, going into early next fiscal year to go over some of those kind of things.
Do you have someone?
Go ahead. Who will be involved in that strategic planning?
So we're going to we haven't yet started the process to get a consultant, but we are going to get a consultant that helps us, and then we'll have various staff, various advisory board members. We'll also have a lot of input from the public. I do hope to have several kind of open to the public sessions where people can come in and give their input on what they would like to see in their library. So it's going to be a very extensive process, but we're going to work with a consultant that is trained to do those and lead those sessions to help us get that information.
That was my question.
Okay, perfect.
Great minds think alike.
And then our last thing that's upcoming is going to be our fundraiser. We're bringing back the annual fundraiser that this board is going to be instrumental in helping bring back and kind of work through. Bob Bramlett is sort of chairing that committee for us. But our fundraiser, we've changed the name. It's going to be called Booked, an evening for Citrus Libraries. So that will be happening on February 22nd of this year. I have some more information about that I'll go over in our new business section.
Next year.
Yes, 2025. Yes. But we are excited to see that fundraiser come back and really kind of re-energize things. I think the renovation at Lakes Region Library is a good kind of jumping off point for that to help us reintroduce that fundraiser to the community. I think it's the appropriate time. So that's what I have for updates.
All right. So now we're going to do regional manager update, which should be interesting considering Debbie's over here taking notes. So we will start off.
For our region manager updates, we've actually, we're going to combine them into the public relations coordinator updates. So Taylor's going to grab all of those today.
Perfect. I'm sure you have, I figured you had a plan, so.
They've ceded their time to me, so I think Renee and
Dangerous.
Debbie were just so heartbroken
Yeah,
to
right.
just give me their time. Thank you, Debbie. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job, and I will help you with my portion of the minutes when we return to the office later today. All right, so really quickly, our Citrus Reads is back again. This is going to be our now 4th title in our Citrus Reads program for this calendar year. We have seen a great response to having titles available for checkout that have no holds and no wait lists for people. And so myself and some of our materials management team were reviewing some of the appropriate titles, and we saw this one. I will admit, the cover caught our eye first, and then we read the description of it, and we said, this is it. This is the title that our patrons will love for the fall. It is an action-packed adventure through the European underworld as this guy saves his family from a client's plot. We're like, it's perfect. So this is now available and will be available through November the 15th. It's got an audiobook, it's got an ebook, so if you are interested in an action-packed, exciting thriller, this is the title for you. All right, and then I'm very excited about this one as well. So the Big Library Read, as you know, is a promotion that Overdrive and Libby do multiple times a year. And so they try to kind of do different titles and have different things available. And this title is actually what they call for middle grades. It's for 9 to 13-year-olds is what they say. But the title is Montgomery and the Case of the Golden Key. And it's a 10-year-old who is looking to find the origin of the golden key that he found. And it looks like a fun little adventure book, something that families could read together. So that one will be available for 2 weeks starting in November as well. So they haven't done a title that is specifically for that younger age range yet from what we've seen. So they're broadening their title selection, which we're kind of excited for.
Yeah.
And it'll be available in both ebook and audiobook. Lenora, as soon as we saw this title, I was like, oh, you know who's going to love this?
Mm-hmm.
Lenora's going to love it.
Yes, I would love to take and present this to our homeschool community.
Fantastic.
And those families could do that together,
Yes,
definitely.
I will have some different promotional materials. I'll get with you after the meeting and we
Thank
can figure
you.
out what to get for you. Mhm. All right, so some of our bigger updates. As you know, Hurricanes Helene and Milton were not very friendly to our scheduling of events for the month of October. And so our book sale that was originally planned through our Friends of the Citrus County Library System was scheduled for the beginning of October. Obviously, that was not able to happen. And then we were very quickly contacted afterwards by the team at the Chronicle, and they said, hey, we've got warehouse space available in our building. Would you like to use it to host your book sale? You can do the full 4-day mega sale instead of having to split it up into 2 pop-up sales. And we said, yes, we will of course take you up on that because we have 900 boxes of books that we need to move. And pop-up sales are great, but they don't move the inventory as quickly as a mega sale does.
Right.
So that sale will actually be starting this week on Friday. They open their doors Friday night at 3 p.m. for the mega book sale. If anyone would like to come help, Justin, on Friday, we will happily take the assistance. You've been trained now to work in holding, so you're
Yeah.
ready.
Time Friday.
Our volunteers show up at 2 to kind of get their briefings for things. If you would like additional information about being able to volunteer, please let me know and I will get you in contact with our friends so that they know to expect some additional assistance. But they will be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And we're just very excited that the Chronicle gave us this offer. It has been a blessing in disguise for us. So we're thrilled about that one. Our second book sale is the Homosassa Friends book sale, which that one has stayed on its originally scheduled dates for November the 14th, 15th, and 16th. And so that sale is actually hosted at the Homosassa Library. And they kind of take over the community room, the entire entrance hall, every available space that we have. As soon as we move elections out of Homosassa, the Friends will be moving in. So if you see a lot of chaos happening at the Homosassa Library for about the next 4 weeks, don't ask questions. It's just chaotic times, okay? All right. So in our libraries, starting next week on Monday, we will have out our Salute to Service displays. And so this is a display that we started a couple of years back. We have placards available for all 6 branches of the service. And I always look at Debbie because she will tell me if I'm wrong in what I'm saying about the military branches of things. But this is a great opportunity for you to write down the name of a loved one, a friend, a neighbor who served, so that we can have walls of recognition in all 5 of our branches. We invite anyone to come in and add them. We do see some of our county staff will come in if they're there working or doing a project or something. They'll come in and they'll add names to the wall as well. It's a great way for our staff to be able to recognize their loved ones who served. And so we have seen a great response to this in the last couple of years, and we were thrilled to be able to bring it back again this year. So that will be available in all of our branches starting on Monday, October the 28th, and then leading through the entire month of November. And we are excited to say that we are returning the Adult Winter Reading Challenge. It was very well received last year by our patrons. It was something new that we had tried. We know that the kiddos love to do their reading challenges over the summer, and for the first couple of years that we used Beanstack, we had the parents saying we want something for our littlest readers, which we were able to add this past summer. But they were also saying we want to win prizes too. Like, we read, we're the parents, we're the adults, we read too. So we added in the Adult Winter Reading Challenge last December. We had different baskets of books and materials and things that we were able to hand out to them, including book sale bucks, because those are ever popular. Everyone loves a gift certificate, oh goodness, to go to a book sale. So that will be back again starting on December 1st. And then just a final reminder, 2 of our branches are early voting locations, and yesterday started early voting. So if you are at Central Ridge or Homosassa in the next 2 weeks, please be warned. The parking lots are very full. People are everywhere. And just a happy note, Central Ridge was once again the highest, had the highest turnout for voters yesterday. We had more than 1,500 people in to vote yesterday alone at just Central Ridge. And there were more than 1,200 people at Homosassa in to vote. So it is
that's awesome.
It's a lot of people. And that was just day 1, and they are there with early voting until next Saturday. So,
Wow.
Just know there's lines of people, there's cars. It's a little crazy, but we are always happy to serve as election. We love working with our supervisor of election, and then on election day, Central Ridge is a voting precinct. However, Homosassa is not. Yes, Edith.
About how many, or are you tracking how many people are actually coming into the branch after voting?
So we don't track that number. We do get a handful of people who come in. The poll workers are also always very excited to see what's going on. Granted, we have known usually once those poll workers are at a spot, they stay at that location. So there's some of them that we see 3 times a year when it's a presidential election year, and we know them, and it's like they're just another part of the staff, and they're just showing back up for a couple of weeks for work. But unfortunately, we're not able to track that number. These numbers are numbers that we get directly from the Supervisor of Elections website to know how many are coming in, because I believe one of our supervisors said, I don't think the doors to the library have even closed, because there are just so many people standing in the lobby waiting to vote. So we're always very happy to see them, but we just like to keep giving that reminder of please be patient in the parking lots, especially on storytime days at those branches, because not only are there election traffic, but there's storytime families. So
And
just
children.
and lots of children. It's just a reminder to be cautious when you're driving through the parking lots at Central.
Where's your
and
office
Homosassa.
at?
Central Ridge. Yes. We have to put like cones out at Central Ridge to block the parking spot for the library van when they leave in the mornings during elections weeks, because if we didn't leave a parking spot for the van would not have a parking spot to come back to. So it's very good, but it's very chaotic, and we live in the chaos. So those are my reminders. Any questions?
I want to tell you, I was one of those people that went up to early vote, and it really was very smooth and wonderful and very packed, like you said. It was super cool.
Yes,
It was
yes.
fun, though.
They're very good at their jobs to get people in and out, but I believe it was one of the poll workers who said it's just taking a little longer this election because there are so many things on the ballot for people to vote for. So it takes an extra couple of minutes, which is compounds when you have 1,500 people coming in to vote. So, all right, well, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the next thing.
Right.
Thank you.
Now, old business, seeing there's no old business, we'll move on to new business. Presentation of booked fundraiser funding and vote.
Okay, so for this one, really looking to, we've started the fundraising process now. We've got a committee together, which again, Bob is chairing, and then we've got some staff and we've got some volunteers that are helping kind of get this project rolling. So we've held meetings. We had one actually yesterday. We've had every other week we're pretty much meeting, and we will meet every other week or probably every week leading up to February 22nd now to make sure that we have everything in place to be able to hold this event. So I did mention it's Saturday, February 22nd. It will be at the Lakes Region Library. The overall kind of title of our event is Booked an Evening for Citrus Libraries, and then the theme is The Next Chapter. And the idea really is just to reintroduce this fundraiser to the community, but it also is to reintroduce the library to the community in a way that shows off the renovation, highlights the work that we've done over at Lakes Region, and really identifies what these funds are intended for. So that's kind of why we're going to hold it over at the Lakes Region Library, so we can use that sort of as a centerpiece to say, you know, when you give to this, when you donate your funds to this, it's raising money to allow us to be able to update our facilities. So it just highlights, you know, that. So we're looking forward to holding it over at Lakes. We've worked on kind of come up with a list of sponsors that we're either in contact with or would like to contact. We've worked on some activities that we're going to have. We're bringing back a lot of the traditional activities that we've had in the past, silent auction, wine toss. We're going to have catering there, so there'll be some food and different appetizers for people to partake in. But with a lot of those things, there are some costs that go with those. So the next agenda item really was to kind of mention that we are going to start that fundraising. We're working through that process. I can answer any questions that you all have. But what we're looking to do is ask you all to vote to provide about $10,000 to be able to pay for some upfront expenses that the fundraiser will have. All the money that is raised goes back into the foundation fund, but this is money to cover any catering costs that we have up front, purchasing tickets. It covers any kind of decorations. It covers, you know, any music costs if we hire an entertainer, and all those sorts of kind of things that we expect to have that we wouldn't necessarily have the money for up front until we have the event.
And just to clarify, the way this works too is whatever is not spent will go right back into that fund. So if it
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Do we have a budgeted amount?
So I'm estimating now it will be $10,000 or less. And part of that really depends on the number of tickets that are sold as far as when we work with our caterer, depending on how much it is per person. So if it's $20 a person, if we sell 200 tickets, that the amount we would need would be more if we sold 300 tickets. So I just want to make sure we have enough to cover it. In the past, we've asked for anywhere between $7,500 and $8,000, but the last time we asked for this funding was going into the fundraiser in 2020. And obviously things have gone up in the 5 years since we've last held this event. So it's really just out of caution that I say 10,000 would be, you know, what we would need, no more than that, to be able to move that forward.
In the past, you've asked each of the library branches to donate 500 to this. Are we still going to do that this time?
Yes, we are still going to reach out to a lot of sponsors, and the Friends will be part of that as well, that we'd ask for sponsorship, but we haven't gone over to the Friends yet and asked that of them yet.
So that would be 2,500 right there. Now,
Yes.
is that in addition to the 10,000 you're asking here?
It is, because we don't know when we receive those funds and what expenses we need to pay out in advance.
Well, you're going to get the 2,500 up front, right? Because each Friends group is going to give you 500 up front.
In theory, yes, they should, but there could be unforeseen circumstances why they're not able to do that, or they don't. I don't foresee them doing it, but I would hate to count on money that I don't have. in that case, because if there's some funding issues, if we weren't having the book sale, something like that happened where they may not have, or want to contribute that much.
Now, is this going to be open to the general public, or is it going to be strictly sponsors buying tickets?
It will be open to the general public. All of our events in the past have been open to the general public. It's a lot of library patrons. It's a lot of just different members of the community that want to come out and support the library. We've always had around 250 to 350 people attend these events.
Okay. And then, when you, in the past, what has the gross been in the past of these events on an average?
An average, probably 15 gross. I can give you net was about 15,000.
Net was 15.
Yes. Yep. So
So-
profit on that would be about 15,000.
So the net would be 15, so if we give you 10, we're still hoping that net 15 on top of that.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so the gross would be 25. we
Yes.
figured.
Yep.
I have a question. What are the ticket prices set at?
So we're working on defining those ticket prices. They're going to be somewhere in the region of $40 to $50 for a ticket. The last time we held this event, they were about 30, and then 35 at the door. So looking at cost increases of things, we're going to bump it up to 40 to 50. We're still, as a committee, deciding where we want to fall with that because we still want to make it an affordable event for the community that's come out. But we also do recognize it as a fundraiser that we still want to, make money to be able to raise for future projects for the library. So 40 to 50.
So, and I imagine a lot of this is still being worked out, and obviously because of the timing and the distance between LAB meetings, it's imperative to try to get at least this amount of funding first so that the stuff we know what we can purchase. But I know one of the things, and I'm not here to school anybody on fundraising, but typically our ticket prices are set based upon how much money we want to raise. So we have an estimated amount of people that will be in attendance. We want to raise this amount of money. We set the ticket prices at this, providing that they also can be affordable enough for people to go. So I would imagine that needs to be one of the first things that we begin to nail down is the ticket prices. So is it possible that you could when is the next meeting for the committee?
So we're meeting in 2 weeks, about 2 weeks.
Okay. Would it be possible to suggest to the committee that we begin to work on at least some sort of, I would say, strategic plan, but more or less like a budget and, what are the ticket prices going to be, and then submit that to the board, whether it be email, just
Yes.
so that we
Yep.
can have that information?
We will have that. The only thing that we're kind of holding off on is we are working with a caterer trying to nail down the price of, appetizers per person or what the cost per person would be.
Mm-hmm.
Once we know that, then we wanted to adjust to make sure that we're making enough on each ticket sale to generate a profit on that.
And so
we will.
So it's more of like an appetizer type thing. It's like finger food, stuff like that, not like an actual meal?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. That's what we've traditionally done in the past. We're trying not to go beyond too much from what we've done in the past. We're trying the goal is just to really relaunch this year
Right.
and
And
reintroduce this.
Right.
Because it's been, like I said, it's almost been 5 years, and this board did help with the fundraising in the past for that, but almost having an entirely new board, we're kind of starting over in a lot of cases. We're bringing back some of those people that have been, instrumental in bringing the event forward.
Right.
But we're balancing the old with the new as well with this.
Yeah, I agree. The first one out of the gate, let's go ahead and do what we've done, and then we can make adjustments afterwards.
Yep.
So, okay.
Adam, I'm just asking that because at $40 a ticket for 300, that's only $1,200. Are we making that much more to be in the wine toss and the auctions? Are we making that much more to make up the difference?
Yes, and that would be 12,000 just to.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so-
I'm sorry,
yeah,
yes.
So just making sure that we're good on that. So 12,000 we would get from ticket sales on average there.
Right.
We do get quite a few sponsors. I don't have hard numbers on that, but I would say, sponsorship could be in the level of, 8 to 15,000 potentially. On the low end, it would probably be closer to 8. And then we do have a lot of different activities. We have raffles that go on that raise considerable funds. Our silent auction raises several thousand in the past. Wine toss is very, very popular as well. So we do anticipate making, 15,000 or so. But I just want to have everybody's expectations to be kind of small for this first one. I would love to make more, but this one to me is really just about getting this kind of moving forward again, especially as you all sort of helped kind of with the fundraising. And then the withdrawal of the funds for Lakes Region and Coastal, that was $600,000. That's come out of the
Right.
foundation account that we need to start putting back. So this is the primary method to do that.
Right. Yeah, and I think, typically speaking, you want the sponsors to cover the cost of the event. So that way, whatever comes in over ticket prices is actually, that's your net. So I think that's definitely doable. It's just a lot of boots on the ground and knocking the doors down saying, hey, I need some money. So, all right.
I have one question, Adam. You mentioned an upper limit of $50 a ticket. I have a concern about that, knowing how hard the two hurricanes hit this county, particularly on the west side. Could you maybe rethink that top number? I mean, what's that thing about volume pricing that, you get more people in, you can have a lower number?
Yes, that is a concern. That's why we haven't that's one of the other reasons we haven't nailed down that price.
Right.
Is because there is that balance where we want to make sure we are still understanding our community. We don't want to price it too high to not be sympathetic to the community and just aware of, the situation of the community.
Yeah, okay.
But that's why we said that 40 to 50, but we're juggling that. When we last left off, the tickets were $30. So it seems that they're going to go up, if nothing else, just
Well,
because
yeah,
of the cost of
prices have gone
supplies.
up, but 50 seems a little high.
I agree. So
Okay.
we're working on that. I don't want to say
Okay.
where I fall on that scale, but 40 to 50 was kind of where our committee was looking.
Okay.
Yeah. I know the BAM is 35, and you get full barbecue for that, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. I have a question. Forgive my ignorance. What is a wine toss?
So a wine toss is where, kind of simply put, is there's a bunch of bottles of wine that's kind of put on a table, and there's little rings that you throw and try to
Oh,
kind of
got
get the ring
it. Like
around
at the
the
fair. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yep, kind of like that. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very
That's just
fun
like-
social game. It gets people excited. You get a lot of activity and attention around that. It's a really fun, engaging activity to do as a piece of a fundraiser.
A highfalutin beer pong is what it sounds like to me. All right.
So you're not promoting alcoholism.
Neither am I. All right. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Yeah, with regard to the funding, usually we get a report on the funds, and I don't see it this time.
So as in
how do
previous.
we know what we're dealing with?
Yeah, right. And I would say I totally hear where you're coming from, and I think a budget would have been more appropriate, I would say.
No, I'm saying the community.
Oh,
fund,
I understand what you're
we
saying.
don't-
You're
we
actually
don't-
saying from the.
What's in the account?
Right.
And we don't see it this time, so what are we drawing 10,000 from?
That is a good point, Mr. Jones. So we did have that in the last August meeting because,
We usually have it every time.
right, that is
So the
true.
numbers are there, it's just that we just haven't seen them this time.
Yep, there was not a new one that was issued since the last meeting. So I don't have a new updated one, but I agree with you that that should have been something that, that I should have handy.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking us to draw from an account, we don't know what the balance is.
Yeah, we're stroking the check, but we don't know the balance.
I don't sign blank checks.
Yeah.
She's got the numbers.
I've got the June 30th numbers. And the total net was
Presumably it has- Well,
265.
it could have gone down a little bit, but the market is up, right?
Right,
Yeah,
that's
last
correct.
I looked.
So what was the June balance?
The June balance was 265, 138.
265, 138?
Yeah, and 10 cents.
38. Okay, so it's about that now, okay.
I will make a motion to approve the funding for the fundraiser of $10,000 and subject to review the price of the ticketing
Can we repeat that?
Sure, and if you are going to make a motion, it has to be specific as well. I've got wording for it because it's out of the foundation
you
fund.
have a presented motion?
So it basically needs, if you're making a motion, it would need to state, motion to withdraw up to $10,000 from the U.S. Family Foundation Fund for restricted purpose of use on booked fundraiser.
That's perfect,
So
okay.
that way it covers what the funds have to be used for. And
I'm making the motion that Adam just quoted. Motion
And I will
to
get it from you.
withdraw $10,000 from the U.S. Family Foundation for the restricted purpose of fundraising for the library at the February 22nd event.
perfect.
And the vice chair has seconded.
Yeah.
Who seconded?
Yeah, I
Vice
seconded
Chair.
it, yeah.
All right, so we actually have to open this up for public comment. Is there anyone, public comment, who would like to speak on this motion as presented? Seeing no one, all right. Board members with just the signaling of aye or nay, what say you? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? All right, motion carries. All right, next one. Propose to change the library advisory board meeting start time from 8 to 9 a.m. And Mr. Chang, you want to, it's pretty self-explanatory, but do you want to give any definition to that?
Sure. Moving it from 8 to 9 was sort of at the request of the county to give staff the appropriate time to be able to get into the building, to set up the meeting. A lot of times when we're setting this up, we start at 8. That's a really quick turnaround for our staff to get this set up, live, recorded, any of the media that we're using. And a lot of times the building is closed to the public, so there's a little bit of that kind of people queuing up outside the door, not sure where to go. So moving it to that 8 to 9 kind of gives us a little more flexibility and lets everybody get settled from both the public and staff standpoint.
All right, so my question for that, and that doesn't bother me. I see the need for it. However, is I do know that occasionally we have the tendency to run 4-hour meetings. So how would that essentially affect our ability to make sure that we get all of our work accomplished during the meeting? Is that something? My point is, I know we booked the room, but is there a hard time that is in perpetuity afterwards of another meeting, or?
No, not in perpetuity after. There's different training events that get scheduled after. I can look to
But that's
extend.
periodically.
Periodically, yes. There's
Right.
nothing that's right after every single time, no.
Okay.
And can we book that out so that that doesn't happen?
Yes, but it's difficult to know how long we want to book that out. We typically book 3 hours. Some meetings aren't going to go that long, and a couple of them have. We certainly could book an extra hour if you'd like. We can see if we can book a 4th hour.
Please don't do that.
No, but I was thinking maybe just making the county aware that there's a possibility that we would go over, so they would then not tend to put trainings on the same day using this room that we are, if possible, that they would be aware of that.
Now, I would say that certainly some meetings we can suspect that they're going to go longer than others. And so maybe it's more appropriate to say that as those meetings come up, we try to do it. I do understand that sometimes that's just not possible. And there always is the case for us to, move the business into the next meeting as old business, but we try our best not to do that if at all possible. Excuse me. So I don't know. What does the board say? Anybody else have any comments or any questions you would like on this?
How many times in your experience have there been 4-hour meetings?
Once. So
Well,
in
that's-
my
I would-
experience.
Yeah, okay.
And I would.
In mine too.
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of a non-issue.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's more or less that sometimes with regards to like training or where they had at one point I want to say like a career, what did they have, like a career? Yeah, career fair. That's what I'm looking for. the first word that was going to come out was World Fair, which that would have been interesting. But anyways, there was a career fair, and they needed a little more time and kind of ate into our slot at that particular time, which was a normal meeting. So I don't know. I think it's more or less, as long as we can guarantee that we have the time we need for business, typically speaking, we're out of here no later than 10 o'clock. So I would suspect that means 11 at that point. But everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Motion to approve time change to 9 a.m.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We got to open to public. Anybody like to speak? Oh, wow. Okay. Make sure you fill out a green card.
Hi, everybody. Janet Genova from Hernando. If we're considering changing the hours, my thought process is that we have a constituency in the county that cannot make a morning meeting.
Yes.
People with families, children are in school, people are working and cannot attend. The library, I believe, is open until 7 p.m., most branches. Would you at all consider a late afternoon meeting after school?
Anyone else? Open to public? All right. Seeing there is no one else, I will close open to public, and we'll open up for discussion on that if board members would like. My only concern with that, and thank you, Mrs. Janet, I appreciate that. My only concern with that, I, of course, would not, that wouldn't make a difference to me. I meet regularly on evening meetings, and sometimes, unfortunately, they do not get out till 10 o'clock because it's a room full of pastors. So, however, my concern with that would be the cost that it would incur on the library, specifically because that is not an ordinary time. I would suspect that you all would be in the office. And then in addition to what that would mean, I think that would do exactly the same thing we're worried about with the county staff right now if it were in the evening. I do think that it may be appropriate, and that's just my personal opinion, obviously, that there would be certain meetings throughout the year that would be later for, just like you said, there are constituents that cannot make it to where they could come and voice their opinion. And what that meeting looked like, could be, is to be determined. But that's just my personal opinion on that. I don't know necessarily that as far as a library advisory board regularly scheduled meeting, if that would make sense, considering certain factors. I do understand that need. I agree with that. I think there are people that could certainly offer their opinion, advice, and so on that would benefit this board. But that might look like something other than just the advisory board, maybe something like a community type workshop or so. So anyone else?
Go ahead.
Are you talking about middle of the afternoon or an evening meeting?
I
Like
believe
after 6 o'clock?
she was
or
talking about like after work,
3.
school hours type thing.
Go ahead.
Okay, there was a time in the past that we had afternoon meetings, and so, I'm not remembering actually why we changed to the 8 a.m. meeting. Can you give us some background on that, Adam?
I was not really part of those meetings, but I do believe it was due to just board preference, because years ago there wasn't very much attendance as far as open to the public. So it could have been just simply what was decided by that board, what worked for them in the morning versus evening, because there wasn't, I know, 6-7 years ago, attendance in the morning or afternoon.
Okay. If I recall, I think the meetings were at 4. Debbie, do you remember?
Yes, they were from 4 to 5.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table already.
Yeah, we would
So what's
not,
kind of the-
so we would, if the board was not in favor of the motion as presented, so that's just simply moving the meeting from 8 to 9, and they had other ideas, they could either, someone, while in the vote, can mention an amendment to the motion. However, I think an amendment to move it to the evening time would be outside of the scope of that. It is the chair's opinion that that would be outside of the scope. So essentially, if you wanted to move it to an afternoon or evening time, this motion would have to fail, then a new motion would have to be presented to do so. So technically, we would have to bring up another motion afterwards. So I think it'd be prudent for the board to make their opinions known during this time first, and then we can go from there.
I think that we only meet once every other month, right, presently, and it should not be a burden on people to get one, couple hours to come if they really have an issue to talk. And they're always free to present an issue. Adam is always on the ready to field any questions. So I stand by my motion to change to 9.
And I spent some time after I read this, when this was sent to us, asking some parents with children, would they actually be involved if we did it at like the school board meetings are at 4 o'clock, and that time frame. And they said, well, when there were things that presented to children in summer programs, yes, they would be more apt to come. But that even when there was something that they wanted to speak for, that they were at work or they were on the way to this or that at that time in the morning. So changing it from 8 to 9 facilitates the building here. Is there a reason we have to do it here and not at one of our local libraries, hold this board meeting?
The decision was made a few years ago now to have it in this building because it is able to be equipped with all the audiovisual and recordings that we have at this facility. So the ones at library don't have the ability to broadcast this to the BOCC's website and online. So it's here for that purpose, really.
And then are we able to, if we moved it to the later time in the day when this facility would be closing, would we be possibly able to use BOCC if it's not used?
I would have to verify that, but that's something, if you all are kind of wanting to investigate what an afternoon might look like, I could certainly look and figure out what the options are and bring it back to you all.
Okay, so, as far as, yeah, that makes sense. Well, the other thing I would say is the BOCC traditionally meets in the morning too as well, and
You mean the afternoon at 1?
yes, that's right, at 1, sorry. When they have other business, they'll come early and then, yeah. So as far as getting here, I don't know if 4 o'clock would make a difference, and I'm trying to wrap my head around that. I know we don't have any data on how many people work, till whatever. I don't know that 4 o'clock would make much of a difference for those sorts, those constituents. I think, many of them are working till 5, and obviously there are outliers, but what I would say is we need to just think about maybe as this motion on the table, and there's nothing that says that we can't present another motion and change the time again. I know that would be a little bit of work in the background, but what I'm getting at is at that time we could get some information as to maybe an alternate site, the type of work that would go into making that take place. Also, even possibly the cost of what it would mean for staffing, because I understand that the libraries stay open later, but as far as these essential, manager positions and the staffing that support this meeting, typically you all work till 5. Would that be correct?
Yes, but it wouldn't be it's not a problem on our end as far as adjusting that.
All right. So it is the chair's opinion that maybe we vote on this
Can this motion be tabled?
Absolutely, it can be tabled.
I'd like to say something. I understand that the reasoning to want to change it to late afternoon is so more people could participate. Except I think that we have noticed within the last 2 years that when there was something that the public wanted to bring to our attention, they had no trouble filling all the space at 8 o'clock in the morning.
But it's the demographics we're talking about.
Talking about
More
parents
family-
and so.
families,
Yeah, we're
parents,
talking
Well,
about-
then, so at 4 o'clock, we have a problem with going 4 hours, which is going to, possibly would be a problem. We also would have a problem that some people work till 5, so that 4 doesn't work. Or that some people have children, so now they would have to either bring their children or get childcare, and it also would invade the dinner hour. Also, it would make that we may or may not be able to use this facilities. It just seems to me that there's may possibly be many more problems to changing it than to leaving it, especially since that we have seen that the public did get their voices heard.
Yeah, I think essentially from 8 to 9, that change is
That's
simple,
fine.
is just simply what's going on out there. So, and I hear your point, and that is well taken. What I would say is, it is the chair's opinion. Now, we technically we have to vote on this, so it's not like this is beyond the bounds of the chair's ability. So, what I would say is it's the chair's opinion that we can vote on this measure right here, and so that the December meeting would be at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Then at that time, the board can, any member of the board can submit a amendment, or we can ask for a request right now for information, but as far as putting a motion on the December's agenda, we could do that, and that would give Director Chang the amount of time he needs to gather the information to say what that would impact, and we could vote on it at that time. Does everyone understand? All right, so essentially, in this, so I will entertain, just because it was mentioned, I'll entertain, do we have a motion to table this motion?
Yes, I think that we should table this motion, or I make a motion to table the motion, until the December meeting in order to flesh out some of the information that we need to make a more definitive decision.
All right, do I
I
have a
second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion on that particular motion? Now we're 2 motions deep. We're to the second power. Any discussion on tabling the motion? Anyone like to just?
So we want more information about who can attend these meetings in the afternoon versus the morning, is that what you're looking for?
And also,
How are you getting that?
and also logistics as far as like using
How are
this
we gonna
building.
gather all that information?
Mr. Adam.
Mr. Adam? You're gonna take a survey of who can come to meetings at 6 o'clock
So I,
versus 9 o'clock?
I can certainly get you the information as far as the availability of this room or what your options might be. As far as the public being able to attend, I think kind of as Lenora has kind of already investigated, you know, she's seeing that there are some working families that would like to attend afternoon meetings, but I don't know how we would get clear data that there's 100 people versus 50. But from my perspective, I can definitely get you what your availability and options would be as far as rooms, staffing, any kind of concerns that we have about moving it. But that would kind of be it.
Let me just ask this, and forgive me if this is outside the bounds, but what would be the director's opinion on this particular, moving it to the afternoon rather than the morning? And I don't want to put you in a place, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, do you see an intrinsic benefit to that, or do you see that it would be more of a cost to the?
So if I can kind of go over the whole thing with you here, I think there's a benefit to making this decision today for the 8 to 9. But then as far as the afternoon is concerned, I think there is some validity that people would like to attend in the afternoon. And as far as working that out, I think we could. I wouldn't suggest moving all meetings there, but
Right.
if you had a separate meeting, or if you had some of these business meetings in the evening, to see just try it to see if people would come, you know, what you're going to get, but not make a decision to move all of them into the evening, but certainly, you know, explore that option would what I would suggest. Because you were right, Lenora is right, and I have heard from other people in the community that sometimes meetings aren't available to them because they are the working population. But it does raise a host of issues that Lorraine and Burke has mentioned as far as, you know, logistics.
Right. Okay.
I've heard of like special meetings, you know?
Right.
Maybe we could have like 1 or 2 special evening sessions, and if we get enough people, we'll see how much it would benefit. But I still stand by the 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And I think too that is a really good point that Adam's making, that we designate, I don't know, the 3rd and the 6th meeting or whatever be evening meetings. It's not necessarily going to hit all of those things, but it will give us a chance during the year to have so many meetings in the evening, so they feel that they have an input. When they buy into our library system and they have an input, then they use it, and then they feel like they're a part of it and ownership, because
Right.
it is their tax dollars that is funding what we're doing.
I share that same opinion, that I think that makes the most sense. However, on this particular motion where we're at, we are now 2 motions in to table the motion as presented. I would just remind the board, and then there is some room for discussion on that if you still would like to. Sorry, Debbie. Her poor fingers are just going away here. I would just remind the board that the essential motion that is on the table originally, not the one to chair, or to table, is, I'm getting all twisted, yeah.
Original motion is to change the
Is
time.
to change the time from 8 to 9. And essentially what that would do is that would change the December meeting from 8 to 9. And then in December, we can make the decision as to coming into 2025, where we have certain meetings that are in the evening, or if all meetings are in the evening, or whatever the case is. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
You're gonna add that?
it's the chair's opinion that the tabling the motion is not necessary. However, let's, any other discussion on tabling the motion? Okay,
I agree. I think we should not table it, make the change, and then in December. And I like having the 2 a year. That's
Yeah.
kind of a fair, that kind of balances it all out. That's a good idea, I think.
okay. All right, so it is the chair's opinion that we're ready to move with a vote. So we are voting on tabling the motion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Nay.
Nay.
All right, so the tabling fails. Now we're voting on the original motion, which is to move the meeting time from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., which would begin in the December meeting, correct? All right.
Yes.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, so that would be the vice chair, Miss Edith. Okay? All right. Board member updates.
So it passes.
It passes. The motion passes. Yes, thank you, Debbie, for keeping me on track. Listen, she is good. She's over here taking notes and keeping me on track. All right. Any board member updates? We'll start with you. Any?
Well,
Yes.
I just want to reiterate again, you know, when I went and early voted yesterday at the Homosassa Library, it was fantastic. It was smooth. It was very cheery. It was just really wonderful. And the parking was still, even though it was packed, it was very good coming in and out. There were no issues. So, good job.
Sorry.
What?
Not you. You're good.
Yes.
Miss
we were-
Edith has
we
got
were
me laughing
chatting.
over here.
I'm sorry.
She forgot what she voted on. It's all good. All right, go ahead.
I'm just so thankful for all the changes that happened at Lakes Region Library,
Yeah.
and that I am kudos to you guys for being pushed so hard with the hurricane and all the changes, and still working on a book sale and all of this at the same time. I can't say enough how much we appreciate all that you are doing for our county and our library system.
Just a reminder that the Homosassa sale is November 14 through 16.
Yes, it is. That's at the same time as the Seafood Festival too, correct?
On Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, right. Saturday and Sunday, yeah. All right.
This is Thursday through Saturday
Saturday.
morning.
So no board member updates, just I hope everyone fared well throughout the hurricane. I know that for me personally, I hope everybody did well. I know that many were affected in our community, and it was it's kind of one of those bittersweet things to see so many in the community come together and just help one another, and from getting dirty by tearing out drywall and carpet and all of those things and picking up limbs and so on to feeding people, and it's just a beautiful time for such a messy time.
Well said. I'd like to say that we have the same flooring, tile, and everything, the carpeting in our library, and y'all are going to love it because working with stains and all that other kind of stuff is just so much easier to pick up a tile than it is to try to pick up a whole section or whatever. And when I went in there before the closure, things were already looking so much brighter and more open. I can't wait to see it.
I just want to say that I'm definitely looking forward to this book sale. I hate that it was delayed, but I'm looking forward to it. And I like the changes here that we said we're going to do. I like it's a win-win, so I'm looking forward to that. My last question to you is the book that we are to review. I'd like to get a copy. So I don't know, is there just one copy going to each of us, or is there a problem, or did I miss an email that said come get it?
No, you didn't miss an email on it. We have one library copy, which is going around to the board members. Then there's another copy that the citizen that made the request loaned the board as well. So there are 2 copies going around.
Okay.
It's just taking some time to get it to everyone, but you haven't missed anything. I know a number of you still haven't reviewed it. I just got it to the next person this morning.
Okay.
So as soon as I get it back, I'm returning it to the next person to move it. But you haven't missed anything.
Great, thank you.
So when are we going to review that book? And can I read it again, reread it? Because I read it a month ago and I pretty much forgot what it was about.
The review for that material will be once everyone's had a chance to review the book. I would anticipate that's more than likely in December. That would be what the target I would shoot for, to get everybody to have reviewed that by December.
Adam, will that be individual people reporting it once they read the book, or are we going to meet on it as a board, or how will that be handled? We didn't talk about that.
So once everybody has reviewed it, it will be put on the agenda item for you all to make a recommendation about what you believe should occur with that material.
And will we find out what the results were from the others? You said that they were all given back to that person that made the request, the 26 books. Do we as a board get to find out what you did or how you did it, either through email or?
I can certainly give you that if you'd like. That's not in our kind of procedure to do that. It goes to the chair, and then if that citizen appeals it, then it goes to you all. But I can certainly send that out because I have it complete. But I have been giving the chair updates on every single one of them. But I can get that to all of you.
I would like that, yes.
Certainly.
I'm next, I guess.
Yes, you are.
There's a book, American Soldier, that was written by Nancy Weaver Dalton. It will be in our libraries, all the libraries, just not sure when. I read this, and I highly suggest that each one of us buy their own copy. It's on Amazon, and the audience as well. The title is American Soldier. It's $10 and change. I mean, that's really affordable. And it is a wonderful read. It is so well written. It's, the old cliche, it's heartwarming, it's sad, it encompasses all the emotions that a human has. And that's just my little thing that until it gets into the libraries here, and I don't know when that will happen, but get your own copy. Or, holidays are coming, get it for a friend, a relative, $10. That's
A
it.
veteran.
I'm reading that now, too.
Good girl.
I have my
You
copy.
can put that at our fundraiser. Sell them
Yes.
for 20.
I'm sorry?
You can put that at our fundraiser and sell them for 20.
There you go. Great idea.
Right, any other updates? All right, seeing that, now our next meeting item is blank on there, but that was because of the proposed time change. So the next meeting would be December the 5th, is that correct? I believe that
Let me
is
just
correct.
verify that.
9 o'clock, right?
It'll be at 9 o'clock, yes.
December the 3rd?
The 3rd, that's correct. December the 3rd at 9 a.m. And that would be right here in this room. All right? Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have two motions. One of them's a second, I would assume? I'll second. All right, Mr. Jones, second. And all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, everyone.